Complete guide to the Ruby Sanctum, all of its bosses and the strategies to defeat them with the tactics. The Ruby Sanctum has 4 bosses, 3 mini-boss and 1 main boss. 3 mini-bosses are Zarythrian the Warborn, General Zarythrian, Saviana Ragefire, and the final 4th boss, the main boss, is a Hollyon. Let's start with the first mini-boss, Zarythrian the Warborn. His abilities are Cleave. That means you should not face him to the raid. The raid members should not be in the range of the cleave, so they must first stay out of the range of melee when the tank is pulling, but that's later. For now, the main ability he has is Blade Tempest, which is a whirlwind kind of ability that does lots of damage. He gets big and does a very high damage to the tank. Tank must put some defensives. If the priest can put some pain suppression, that would be nice, because he's gonna be receiving lots of damage, and this going to happen 3 times about while he's tanking the main body. The second ability is a repelling wave and the cloning himself. So basically, repelling wave is dropping melee back and stunning them and making himself a copy. So for this boss, for 25 men, you need 2 off tanks, 1 main tank and 2 off tank. 1 main tank will tank the main body, and 2 off tank will tank the little bosses. So main tank, who's going to be inside or outside, will tank the main body. The off tank, who's gonna be inside or outside, tank the second body. So those are like 2 very nicely geared tanks. And the third one can be not so nicely geared tank, but still need to be kind of geared to handle at least 1 Blade Tempest with the cooldown. So he's gonna pop all the cooldowns when this stuff happens, and he's probably gonna survive, so it doesn't really require like crazy amount of 6k gears of tank to like do the second copy. So first copy will be taken by another tank, and second copy will be taken by the off tanks from the raid. So the strategy for this boss is that the main tank should get the misdirections and thoughts from the rogues, and he will pull the boss down. And when he's pulling the boss down, melee should not be in front of them. Melee should be on the left side, right side, doesn't matter, should be far away from the boss, because boss does the cleave. And when he's pulling the boss back, the boss is facing the raid, so for a short period of time. So you need to avoid that. Just stand a little bit out. You're gonna lose a bit of DPS, but it really doesn't matter. Better do the strategy correctly than lose a DPS. So when the tank just drags the boss down, just faces him off the raid, so his back is against the wall now, and he's tanking the boss there until he does the repulsion, makes a copy himself. Then the copies, when one is done doing a Blade Tempest, the second one starts. Second one is done, third one is done. So it gets bigger and it does a very high damage and like whirlwind damage, and it can kill a tank too. Like it needs a very high healing on that. After that, you just DPS him down, pop some hero, and the Zarythrian the Warborn will be down. Second boss, you're gonna go with the Saviana Ragefire. For this boss, you're going to need the ability to remove Enrage, that's a poison the rogues have, or you need the hunter with a trunk shot because he has a nasty enrage. So what does this enrage do is kind of different from another enrages. Like with the another enrages, he just gets big and his attack speed increase, the damage increase. But for this enrage, he does something else. He does AoE damage to the raid, and it's a very high damage. The Clothes might die for this, so you need to like use a trink shot very fast. You need, like, if you don't let him burst the attack one time, you are a good hunter, and my gratitude to you, sir. But sometimes I get the team and the enrage goes down to like 2 seconds and then he dispels, but that's besides the point. The second ability he has is the flying phase. So he goes up to flying. The only range attack can reach him. So melee is just not doing anything. And that's when you need to type down /range 10. Before the starting of the fight, you type down /range 10. And you make sure nobody's in that range. Because the flame beacon that he does, it marks the player with the flame beacon, and after the flame beacon is over, he does the conflagration, which is disorient. So you're like stunned and just rotating in a place, looking away, getting a damage dealt to you, and you're unable to fly. That can happen to the main tank, off tank, or whatever. But usually you would have a Death Knight tank, and what the Death Knight tank can do is, because the flame beacon is like the warning, yo, in the few seconds I'm going to use a skill on you. For a Death Knight, it's like, yo, I'm just gonna pop my anti-magic shield, that's it. That's what you do. But I want you to guys know, the Death Knights out here, that even if you pop the anti-magic shell, you still need to do the /range, because even if you don't get anything, you're going to affect the teammates. So you still need to do that. The rest, he's not doing anything else. So you just repeat the flying phase, the down phase. You just have a flame breath, which is irrelevant, just healable. It's nothing much. Just DPS him down and kill him, easy. The third one is General Zarythrian. For this, you're gonna need the 2 off tanks again. The one main tank, another main tank that's doing inside or outside, and one off tank. Because this guy's abilities aren't really that much. He's doing like armor reduction for a 100% armor reduction. He can reduce the armor for 100%, which is very bad for tanks. Like usually, what they do is the Paladin is the one that tanks this boss, because Paladin can help himself and remove the help himself, and basically remove the cleave armor. And the second ability he has is AoE Fear. Roars enemies, paralyzing them with the terror for 4 seconds. Paralyzing with the terror is basically a fear. But another ability he has is summoning ads from both sides of the entrance. So as you can see, there's like right side of the entrance and there's a left side of the entrance. Ads are coming out from both of them. 2 ads are coming in the 10 man and 25 man. Both of them, 2 ads are coming. But the difference is the damage. In the 10 man, you can basically just grab the mob, and you can tank it easy. And in the 25 man, it's kind of hard. Like one man can't really tank it all, and that's why you need the 2 tanks, 1 tank and second tank, and both of them get the beacon from the Paladin. So Paladin actually heal main tank, and the one that tanks the ads, and the other Paladin kills another off tank and the main tank, and the tremor totem must be near the tank, The off tanks doesn't really get affected by the roar because the tanking happens in the place where the boss were standing. So yeah. Also, it's possible to taunt it with the Death Knight, and Death Knight has kind of some privilege because of the Lichborn ability and the anti-magic shell ability. So you can be immune to fear for 2 times when he tried to do that, but you can't really drop the cleaved armor, so that's why you need the Hands of Protection from the Paladin anyways. So it's kind of a DPS race because he keeps summoning the odds, and once it's reached a certain point, they often just can't handle it and still need to like DPS down. And for the off tanking, the Death Knights are good choice here because the ads are doing a magic damage, and the tank Death Knight can reduce the damage with the talent he has, which is they have a chance amount of their parry rating to reduce the direct magic damage taken by 45%, so basically half. So that's why the Death Knights are good, and also the anti-magic shell, of course. Also the Death Grip, which cancels their casting of the spells, and also the interrupts they have. So Death Knight is ideal choice for the both doors, or both gates, or both paths when where the ads come from. So you just if you don't pop hero, I think you won't have a problem with that. You should be able to DPS him down and just kill him, because it's not that hard. It's really not that hard, boss. And then comes the Hollyon. The Hollyon is a different type of boss, different from the mini bosses, of course. He has 3 phases, unlike the other 2. His first phase is basically what his third phase is, and it's not like really that crazy. When you're outside, it's like same thing. So what the first phase is? First phase, the tank who stays outside, or maybe if you don't trust the tank who stays outside to pull, because you're gonna be inside tanking, from the side of the General Zarythrian, the one that you defeated, from the side of that boss, so you face north, you're going to charge at the boss with the mount up. When you're near the boss, jump into like boss and then taunt it with the icy touch and stuff like that, and then the DPS must jump in, so the boss doesn't really move, so boss stays in the one place. Then what the DPS does is DPS gets into the melee range, so DPS will be in the melee range, DPSing and everything. And sometimes if you have a deadly boss mode, he's gonna tell you when he does that. So first ability is the dot he's putting on you. It's like a mage's living bomb, but when it gets dispelled or the time ticks to the 0, you're going the place where you're standing, it's going to be radius equals to the like how long time it took you to dispel. So if you dispel fast, the radius will be little. It's not gonna be big. It's gonna be small radius. But if you take like whole duration, the radius is going to be the whole fucking room where you're standing, and you're gonna wipe. So you need to, when you get the debuff, if you have deadly boss mode, you're gonna yell I have a debuff, and you will notice that you'll yell I hope so, and it's gonna pop up some warnings for you. You run to the edge of the map. You run to the edge of the map, you get dispelled. Either you dispel yourself, or if you go like way to edge, then you dispel yourself if you can. If not, just be at the edge and wait until someone dispels you, and then just run back to the melee range where you were, and he's going to do Heaven's Burn. Heaven's Burn is a meteor that does a lot of damage, so it has a 5 seconds of the time to prepare you, so you move. So when he does the Heaven's Burn, you're going to switch to the other side of the Hollyon, and you're going to position yourself depending on how the flames go. So flames go like in the 4 directions, in random directions, and you need to position, like let's say flame coming at you and going at you right now, just go back and go left and go right. Don't go on the face of the Hollyon, go to the tail of the Hollyon. So better you get stunned for 4 seconds than getting the flame breath into your face or cleaved. So whenever you do the flames burn, Heaven's Burn and changing the position, don't go to the face. Go from the tail. Go from the leg part. Because if you go from the face, when he does the Heaven's Burn, he does the flame breath at the same time. So you don't want that to like get caught. Alright, so after you do that, you still need to like kind of, healers must be positioned into the way that they can heal the flames, because when the Heaven's Burn does, he does the flame birth at the kind of same time. Like when he gets down, the flame birth comes up, and some people actually die from the flame birth because of like they go through the front leg of the boss, and that kind of killed them. That's the first phase. Ransom Fate gets a debuff, goes to the edge, gets dispelled, come back. It's not a heroic, it's 25 man, it's easy. After that, there's going to be phase 2, and that's when people start messing up. So there's going to be inside tank and outside tank. Outside tank is usually the one that's tanking the boss right there, who's tanking the boss in the first phase. But sometimes it happens that the tank inside don't trust the outside tank, and he tanks the outside. So anyway, you must know who's tanking inside. You're gonna mark that guy, and nobody goes in before the tank. The reason that nobody goes in before the tank is when the inside Hollyon, the shadow Hollyon, gets the aggro and he kills the aggro, the only aggro he has, is going to reset to the phase 1. He's gonna go full HP. You're gonna have to pop him down to the phase 2 again to like actually survive the shit. So what you do is the tank with defensives up, going in with a facing on the north of the map, like the tank that tanked it, and then going back a little bit so that people don't get cleaved. And when they enter, they go to the left side of the boss, and then there is 2 sides now. For the second phase, all of the melee and ranged and healers are inside except 2. There's going to be an outside tank and outside heal, one of them, preferably a Holy Paladin, who's going to stay outside for entire duration and plus when the phase 3 begins, he needs to grab the aggro as fast as possible from the Hollyon, because he needs to stay outside. So the inside is where the things begin. Inside is the one that things get complicated. That's why people prefer to tank outside, because they don't know how to do inside, and because the first phase is basically same as the third phase for the tanks outside, with a little differences. So let's see. There is orbs that's rotating, 2 orbs. The cutter, it's called the cutter. So it starts to rotate, and the DBM pool tells you like in 5 seconds it's going to be a cutter. It's not actually DBM pool, it's not only that, the boss actually says the voice too. Beware the shadows. I think that's the quote that the boss says. Let's see. Ooh. I don't remember the quote that boss says, but he also like beware the shadows, and then the cutter starts, and after cutter starts, the raid and the tank need to rotate with the cutter. So you need to aim the orb, or like when he says like the beware the shadows, you need to have the orb on the right side of the tail of the boss all the time, and be a little bit right side, not like on the right side of the boss, because you're gonna kill the raid. Anything that's between the cutter is going to die. It's gonna take like huge damage, huge magic damage, and it's gonna die. So what you need to do is like you need to have the cutter on the left side of yours, but not to left side of yours, and you need to start moving the boss. So until the cutter ends. When the cutter ends, you need to stop, because the DPS needs you to stop, and DPS must be always on the other half of the Hollyon. He should not be on the front leg of the Hollyon. DPS always needs to be on the bottom half of the Hollyon, not to the tail too much, but not to the like right hand side. He needs to be on the like near tail, so when the cutter starts, it doesn't hit the DPS. And most of the time it's DPS's fault and healer's fault, because they just stand in one place and the cutter kills them, and they're like, oh, tank noob. So yeah, just keep the cutter on the left side of yours, like maybe like 5 or 10 radius, not radius, but you know what I mean. So not too far away, but not too close, so you get cut, something like that. Just rotate the boss, and that's pretty much what your job is. Now what the raid leaders or the announcers job is. There is on the both sides the percentage of the Hollyon. You're gonna see a percentage. It's going to vary like 50%, 40%, 60%, 70%, 30%, or to 80 and 20 and 10 and 19. So what's the problem there? That's a DPS. So basically there is a damage output difference in 2 realms. So if them like most likely the melee will do a very high damage, because the range needs to move right side, left side. The heavens burn attacking, you need to move the things stuff, you need to move and stuff like that. It's pretty annoying for the casters, because then they just move, right? Even though inside moves too, they still move. Like when the inside moves, the DPS still continue to damage, because they don't give a hell about that. They just hit, and that's why most of the time when you're inside tank or inside announcer, you're gonna see the percentage drop down. When the percentage drops down, that means your side is doing too much damage and you need to slow down. So when you see like in your you are in the Shadow Realm and your raid leader or announcer, and you see like, oh, it's 40%, you're gonna say, oh, slow down. If it says 30%, oh, no, stop the DPS completely. So 40% is a slowdown, 30% is a completely stop. Because when for you, when for your side it's a 40%, for the other side it's a 60%. When there is a 60%, Hollyon gains a damage, and his damage taken is decreased. So like he's getting a damage boost and damage taken decreased. And when they're inside is a 30%, outside is a damage boost for 70%, and damage decreased by 40 or something. I don't really remember the correct numbers, but it's very bad for the outside. And when there is a 20% inside, outside is 80%, and the main tank outside is getting I'm not gonna say the word, but he's not having a good time. When there's a 90%, you're going to have to kick the top DPSs in the inside out of the raid because they're stupid. And probably the outside raid is already dead. Okay, so when you're outside announcer, when you see that your side is getting 40%, you're gonna announce that outside stop a slow, 40% is slow, 30% is a stop. And when you're gonna see, if you're outside announcer, you're gonna see like there's a 60%, you're gonna say inside slow, 70% inside stop. That's what you need to do. If it's more than that, you're gonna say stop, god damn it, and yeah, something like that. After that, there's only one tip that I can give you, is that before the phase 3, before everybody goes out, when you see a phase 3, you're gonna announce the hero. So everybody's inside, the DPS, everybody's inside. So when you're gonna announce the hero, it's gonna pop, the rest of shaman's gonna pop hero, and everybody, when they go out, inside and outside has hero, the DPS is kind of same, so the boss is getting like the DPS down. And that's the only one that can do it. Or there's another way. The inside should be a rest shaman and outside should be a elemental shaman, and they both pop hero at 35% because that's the percentage that like people getting boosted damage, like maybe mage getting 12% or 16% damage boost when the enemy has less than 35% health. So those are kind of two strategies for the heroism there. Mostly you're gonna see when the phase 3 starts, pop hero, and then everybody goes out, and then you do that. By the way, just for side note, both of the sides getting the combustion debuff. So inside is getting a shadow debuff and outside getting a fire debuff, and both of the debuffs inside and outside are placed into the like overlay each other, so you can actually get a debuff dispelled outside and it's gonna affect the inside, so you're gonna see that same debuff inside. That's the strategy for the Hollyon. You just DPS him down and kill him, easy, get the loot, have fun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.